What's up? Majic Mike back in the mix. And on the Zoom, we got Shae G zooming all the way in from T-Dot. What's going on, Shae G?
Hi, Majic Mike. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure to have you, man. I've been watching you for a minute up on my Instagram, and I'm loving what I'm seeing, so I definitely had to get you on.
Appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
So you're an independent artist from Toronto, you know what I mean? And, you know, you've been in the music scene for, about 2-3 years now. So tell us about your upbringing in Toronto and how did you get into the doors of the music industry?
To be honest, what a lot of people don't know is I used to sing many, many years ago. So I went as a different name. I actually was a singer. My partner at the time was a producer. So that's how I stepped foot into the music industry. But I've always been writing. I've written for a few people. So I've just actually decided to write for myself. As far as my upbringing in Toronto, I can say I've had an average upbringing. I didn't live a lavish life, but it creates a lot of backbone towards my music, I would say, because of who I am, because of how I grew up, and because I didn't have the smoothest upbringing. I think that my little roughness kind of helps play into my music.
Okay, I want to say I love your nails. I love a woman that takes care of her body and her features.
Thank you.
Gorgeous. All right, so we got, you're a self-proclaimed remix queen. Are you the Miss Puff Daddy here?
I would love to be the Miss Puff Daddy. The reason I say I'm the remix queen is because that's where I started. First of all, I was only doing remix beats when I first came out, and I believed that I was doing a good job at it. I believe that all my remix tracks were good, that I got good feedback. I got multiple requests for more music, and hence the reason why I'm continuing to do music, because I believe I might not be famous, but I know I have supporters that listen to my music, that are waiting for my project, waiting for my video, that just continue to just message me every day and say, what's going on? How are you doing? Can we get another track? Remixes for me, I would say come easy because the subject is already there. So when I hear a beat and I'm remixing a song, it's 30 seconds, I can write something and I'm good to go, because once I have the subject, which is normally the hardest part for me, because you have to hear a beat and catch the vibe. So remixes for me are fun. And I believe, like I said, I do a good job.
Okay. And, you kind of like me, right? Like we like all types of genres of music. I grew up in the late 80s and early 90s, and it was a lot of rock. Hip hop was around, but it wasn't too much. So, what are some of the genres that influenced you? And, are you, getting into other genres of music like rock and roll, country, maybe? Who knows, right?
Definitely. And funny enough, I'm a big fan of country music. I believe that country music, as well as kind of soul music, it's a stepping stone for me to R&B. I like good music. I like music with a message. I like music that's saying something, and for me, that's always country music. Country music, if you listen to any song, from beginning to end, it tells a story.
Okay.
Hip hop, obviously. R&B, definitely. Growing up, I listened to a lot of.
What about that thrash metal, like that hardcore heavy metal?
To be honest, I've never really been a fan of it, but I've never really disliked it. Like I grew up with some people who were hardcore fans of heavy metal music. So I've never been against it, but I've never really gotten into it to say I'm gonna go on the internet and search up the next big heavy metal band. But as far as alternative music growing up, I loved alternative music. I loved a little bit of rock. Alanis Morissette, like artists like that were a big influence to me in my teen years.
What about No Doubt, Gwen Stefani?
Great, of course. Of course. That's my girl.
Okay, so you're working on 2 projects right now. You're working on one called 50 Shades, and the other one is called Horse and Carriage. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so 50 Shades of Shae is pretty much a mixtape. I don't know how much songs I'm going to give you guys on there, because there has to be a cutoff. I have to stop. So 50 Shades of Shae is pretty much all about me. It's to showcase my talent, showcase what I can do musically, whether it's rapping, whether it's singing, whether it's speaking a different language. It's pretty much all about that, all about to show what I can do musically. And now Horse and Carriage is actually a project that I have with my fellow artist H. Chase, because I am actually the first lady of High Horseman. So we're actually working on a project Horse and Carriage, hence High Horseman. We took the name off of there pretty much. And it's me and him, all collabs with me and him. And it's just some amazing music. You're going to get a little bit of reggae, a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of R&B feel on that Horse and Carriage.
So, like I was saying, like T. Toronto's a very multicultural, city. And what's your background, by the way?
My background is Jamaican. I'm strictly Jamaican.
Bruh, bruh, bruh.
Greenwich Farm, that's me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was just about to ask you, how's your cook game? How's your kitchen? Your game in the kitchen. Like, are you a good cook and stuff, or what?
You know what? I can honestly say, shout out my mom. My kids are happy when I cook. I have no complaints. Partner has no complaints. We're good to go.
Good to go. So you as a Black female in this industry and growing up, did you go through a lot of racism? And what is Black Lives Matter? What does it mean to you?
To be honest, I've dealt with a lot of racism. I actually live outside of Toronto. So I live in a town called Barrie. And I've dealt with quite a bit of racism there. I'm not sure if they're used to Black people. To be honest, because I've gone to school and I've learned a few things. So the way I've always dealt with it has always been professional. I always speak to a manager. I do what I can do that way. Honestly, it's a feeling that nobody should have to deal with. I have Black sons, so I always fear that they're going to grow up and deal with a different type of racism. And that involves the police, hence Black Lives Matter. So I actually, first song I released was a song called Down My Eyes. And that was to shine light on the Black Lives Matter movement, to shine light on the injustice in America that we go through. Also in Canada, although it's not as much, but the injustice just being Black, just being a male, just not knowing how people are going to feel about you when you walk outside your house. I'll be 100% honest. I'm not the Black Lives Matter movement. I support it. I stand by it, but I cannot say that I know what's the end game with Black Lives Matter. I support it, like I said. I stand by it, but as long as the message is positive, as long as we can get our voice across, I'm definitely there for it.
Okay. Now, this lockdown is still going on. I know how it is in Toronto. There's not really much to do, especially such in a big city like that. Now, how are you handling this COVID-19 since we got the lockdown back in March? Like, how you been dealing with this and how you been coping with it? How is your music? How's it changed your perspective on the world, etc.?
You know what? That's a good question to ask me, because I feel due to COVID-19, my music has suffered severely, because my creative space normally was when the kids are gone to school, when the kids are gone to camp, I write a lot of explicit music, and it's not a comfort level for me writing around my kids. So I can say I definitely write a lot less. I do a lot more writing in the studio than anything. I had plans, because I actually dealt with the injury for a year. And I had plans right before COVID to shoot my video, this video that we have coming out, to shoot my video, to shoot another one. And I actually had plans that were canceled due to COVID-19. So my life was affected. My music was affected. COVID-19 wasn't nice for me.
Okay. So as we approach, September, like, things are going to, the kids are going to go back to school. They're talking about reopening certain other businesses now and certain other, you know what I'm saying? We're going into the third stage here. So
Yes.
Are you fearing that the COVID-19, the sickness, the virus is going to come back into the schools and, vice versa, etc.?
To be honest, I do fear it. I do fear it because we don't know. We don't know how the transition is going to work. We don't know if it's a good idea for the kids to be back in school. Me personally, I don't want my kids in that first round. I don't want my kids to be the test as to where people are going to get affected because their kids are traveling to school and bringing this virus home. It's scary.
Yes, it is. It's a very scary time. So who did you look up to growing up? You know what I mean? Because now kids nowadays, their role models are a little different than ours. You know what I'm saying? So their role model is the tablet and the phone.
Definitely. I have a couple children who have those role models. To me, growing up, to be honest, as a role model, who can I say? I would say more characters on TV, like Laura from Family Matters, or I wouldn't say I had an artist as a role model, because I can say that back then we weren't as in tune with these artists' lives as these kids are now, because the internet's there. I mean, if we didn't see them on TV, we weren't seeing them. So yeah, I would say I've never really thought of that growing up as a role model. Maybe not even somebody famous, but definitely my mother.
For sure. And not even just that, like Instagram is like a magazine. Like magazines are suffering. When social media came out, nobody who wants to buy a Source magazine. Like, no disrespect to Source, mad love to respect to the Source magazine. But are you gonna go pick up a paperback, or are you just gonna zoom it on your phone? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you know what I'm saying? So we got this one track by you. It's called Never Did Know, right? It's a beautiful track. Tell us a little bit about this track right here.
So Never Did Know, and that's again with my partner H Chase, is a reggae vibe track. I actually had a producer send me over the beat. I listened to it. We liked it. We wrote the track in the studio, recorded it, and we ran with it. Made a few people listen to it, got great feedback, and decided to shoot a video.
Can you give off your social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, if you got one?
I sure can. So on all platforms, thankfully, I am Shae Grant Music, but that's music, Muzik. That's on Twitter, that's on Facebook, and that's on Instagram. As an artist, you can actually find me as Shae G, Spotify, Apple Music, and all the rest.
All right. Thank you so much, Shae G, for coming on. And any words of wisdom to our peoples listening right now?
Like my mom always says, keep your heart clean, keep your mind clean, and let your blessings flow.
All right. Let's check that track out by Shae G, all the way from T. That track is called Never Did Know, right here on the Majic Hour and the Majic Mixxx and Majic Mike YouTube series. Subscribe, like, and share. You know what I mean? Here we go. Brah.
Yes.
So Shae G, thank you so much. Now, all that was for the radio. This is the extra footage for my YouTube subscribers. You know what I mean? Tell us something right now that, you know what I mean? Like, who you listening to right now? Who you vibing out to? What's your plans for 2021?
Definitely. Who I'm listening to right now would have to be Meg Thee Stallion. If you do follow me, you know that I like that raw talk, that explicit music. I listen to a lot of Pop Smoke. He has that R&B vibe in his album. I really enjoyed it.
Don't you find all the Jamaicans, all the Yard Man them, they're running the game right now?
Exactly, right? And I like it because to me, reggae music is so powerful. I feel that I wouldn't even be able to write the lyrics that I write if I didn't come from a strong background of listening to reggae music. I still listen to reggae music, and it's simply because the lyrics, we speak like no other. We are slick like no other. The words that come out of our mouth.
It's not even just reggae. Like, even if your like bloodline is Jamaican, both parents or whatever,
exactly.
You get your hands in the radio, anything. Even there's a lot of scientists right now, a lot of cures, a lot of, you know, industrial things that, you know, Jamaicans have created, like American Jamaicans, Canadian Jamaicans. We're very talented people.
We're underestimated. That's for sure.
Of course. So you ever think about going back to Jamaica and living there, you know, settling down and, you know, buying a little house? You know how it is down there right now. Like, you know, like they're, you know, you go down there, you try to build a house. There's always some kind of hating and, you know, them type of things. Right. But
for sure. But to be honest, right now, as we speak, I'm actually in the process of building a house with my mom and my grandmother. So well, I'm not 100% sure if I would go back and live permanently. Maybe when I'm older, for sure. But I would definitely make sure that I have my place down there.
Okay. Well, Shae, I don't want to take too much of your time. You know, like I got to get to sleep, man. I've been up like all night and everything, right? Still hustling, right? But all night last night, and then I did a full shift at my thing, and then now we're back. You know?
Wow. You know what? The grind doesn't stop. And at the end of the day, nothing comes easy. Nothing.
Of course, man. When I'm watching my YouTube videos right up on the big screen on my TV, I look at it and say, I'm doing something well here. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting these artists a platform, and the way the music industry is right now, everybody's watching right now. Everybody's at home during COVID. it's the great time to get your music out. And if you need help, Shae, with anything, you know, I mean, you let me know. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I appreciate that so much. I really do.
All right. So that was Shae G, all the way from Toronto. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, one.
All right.